Okay, I'm here with Mike Bithell,
Hello.
creator of Thomas Was Alone.
So they tell me, yep.
Yeah, the fan favourite. Today's showing off a new game called Volume.
Yes.
As you can see. Could you tell us a bit about what Volume is? What is it?
So it is a stealth game. I guess it's kind of retro. It's kind of going back to a time when stealth was about hiding behind a wall rather than hiding in the shadows. And it's basically the game I've been designing in my head since I was about 13. So I finished Metal Gear Solid and had these ideas for wouldn't it be cool if, or I wish you could do that, and this kind of stuff. And it's just bounced around in my head for the intervening 15 years, and just kind of it hit a point when Thomas Was Alone did as well as it did. It meant I had the resources to make whatever I wanted. I really wanted to make this game. Fair enough.
So I mean, you've been showing it off today and yesterday as well. What's the reception been like?
Really good, really, really good, which is terrifying, because it just means people are going to expect an even better game, which is the worry. No, it's cool. It's people love it. Stealth game fans seem to love it. Thomas fans find it harder because they're not used to the genre, but they are liking the story stuff or the hints at story stuff that are in there. So I'm kind of quite confident that once we get to the full story side, which we're announcing in a few weeks' time, that's going to be very interesting. I'm really excited. It's gone much better than I hoped.
So do you think you can live up to this kind of Kojima legend that's surrounding the game at the moment?
I will never, ever approach Kojima's genius. No, but I hope that I can be a good follower of that.
Okay, well, obviously, Thomas Was Alone was a platformer. It was, I wouldn't say it's casual, but it was open to quite a wide player range with casual and obviously a more kind of hardcore player as well. How does this compare? I mean, is a casual player going to be able to pick this up and actually get the most out of it, or is it more aimed towards a hardcore player base now? I mean,
I really, really want this game I'd love it to appeal to as many people as Thomas was. I think just stealth in general requires a level of thinking that's perhaps not quite as accessible, which is a shame. But one thing we can do with the game is we can be very clever with the way in which we use difficulty. So we can allow dynamic difficulty. We can have instant kill. We can have it takes forever to be killed. So if you run, you're probably going to be all right. We can play around a lot with that. So I'm quite confident that we can find a way that most people who want to play this game can get something out of it. But then I also want hardcore gamers to be absolutely destroyed by it.
Maybe perhaps there's some sort of extra difficult modes.
I think we'll have a bunch of difficulty levels in this game. It should be good.
Okay, so the core mechanics are you're going around level, picking up gems, I believe.
Yep.
And you have to reach an endpoint. I tried it earlier. I am a fairly big Metal Gear Solid fan. I like to consider myself very good at stealth games, and I was completely horrible at this. Simply because I haven't played one in ages.
Right.
But how are you kind of influencing the player to use all the tools around them to kind of navigate the levels?
So it's a very specific. So obviously this is a very specific demo. This is for a Eurogamer, so it's got to be quite fast. It's got to be something that people can just pick up and play. The objective in the final game is that you enter an environment with nothing. Gadgets are found in the world to use, and what that means, I hate it in games where you collect an inventory and build up. I've never played a first-person shooter and not finished it with a full bag of grenades, because you're always waiting for that one time you really need the grenades and you never actually use them. So I'm a big believer in creating an environment where players experiment. So in this, you begin a level with nothing, you leave a level with nothing. Anything you find in the level, you need to use in that level, or you're never going to get to play with it again. So gadgets are found as you run around. Content is available to you there and then, otherwise you move on. And that seems to work quite nicely, I think. I think that's quite fun. So we'll see. So it means that you'll go into a level and you'll find this awesome superpowered thing, and you can't save it because you're not going to be able to take it with you, so you have fun with it.
So your first game, Thomas Was Alone, was very kind of minimalistic in its design.
Yep.
It was basically just a bunch of cubes having various
emotional relationships. Yeah.
I mean, this has got remnants of that in a much more 3D environment. I mean, you see, you've got the robot guards. They're a lot more detailed. Everything's a bit more fleshed out. I mean, how was that transition for you when it happened?
It was a matter of, so Thomas had to be rectangles because the whole stacking mechanic, if they'd been little people or chickens, whatever they'd been, it wouldn't have worked, it wouldn't have read as well. So it was really guided by the gameplay, and also, I had limited budget, so I couldn't get massive art. Whereas with Volume, with a stealth game, you kind of have to have a humanoid character, or a character you can read, because you need to know if they're crouching, or stuck behind a wall, or leaning out, or doing... You need to be able to read those. With the enemies, you need to know, are they running, are they standing, do they look angry, do they look like they don't notice you, are they shooting their gun? So it had to be quite a more complex graphics. And at that point, obviously, Thomas did well, so I could afford to get artists to come and do cool stuff. And it just kind of worked, so it made sense to expand on that world. I'm still a massive fan of the minimalist look, so the environment, for example, is really simplistic, which is great for a stealth game because it really makes it easier to understand what's going on. You can see your way around, you know where you are and what's going on around you, so it kind of suited it. So I put the detail where it was needed.
Fair enough. You've also got a map editor.
Yes.
Why did you put that in?
Well, first of all, it's the most requested feature on Thomas Was Alone. It's the thing that absolutely every day I get emails saying, could you include a map editor? Could you add a map editor to Thomas Was Alone? And the problem is that Thomas Was Alone was kind of coded in a very haphazard way, and it would be very hard to now go back and add that. But I wanted with this game to facilitate that. The other reason is I want the game to be something that people can go back to. YouTubers and streamers loved Thomas and loved doing stuff of Thomas, but they really quickly ran out of stuff to do because it's quite a short game, it's story driven, Danny's talking through most of it, and you can't do a great deal of stuff of it. I wanted to make a game where they could keep going back and doing new videos of new stuff, but that required more content. That's why roguelikes, I think, are so popular, is because there's just this constant, always new stuff. Can't do randomization so easily with stealth game because stealth games have to be quite precisely designed. So it made sense to combine those issues and use make a map editor so people can make their own stuff. You can make a bunch of content, you can then give that to your friends. There's a constant stream of new content in the game, and that hopefully leads to more ongoing play.
So, I mean, how fleshed out is this? How easy is it going to be to trade maps with friends?
I'm still working out exactly what I want to do with that. A lot of that comes down to platforms as well. Different platforms have different approaches to how sharing works. In terms of the editor itself, everything you've played in the game was made using the map editor. I don't have a secret, better tool that I use. I'm using the same tool that the players can ultimately use. But yeah, in terms of the sharing, in terms of how you rate stuff, how you upload stuff, that I'm still working out, but we'll get there.
So you mentioned consoles. This is coming out on PS4, if I remember correctly. Anything else?
PS4, Vita, a month later, PC, Mac, SteamOS, I guess. It's new. Maybe, looks like. And then after that, I don't know, anywhere else really that wants it. It made sense to not do all the platforms at once because that's just a nightmare of how do you make that many versions of the game simultaneously, and there's going to be a bug that I need to fix, and how does that work? So yeah, we'll do those initial 5 platforms, and then we'll come back to it and we'll go, okay, so where now? And we'll keep going until we run out of places we want it to be.
Fair enough. Okay, so when can we expect the volume out?
Hopefully mid to late next year is the hope. I would love to see it around this time next year, but we'll see, really. We'll see. I've got the time to make it exactly how I want it, and it will be released when it's ready rather than a date.
Steam time.
Steam time. Yeah. Hopefully a little faster than Steam time. We're only a few minutes away from them announcing Half-Life 3, we'll see.
We're going to be announcing Half-Life. It's going to be a controller.
I'm hearing controller from a lot of people. I know I want it to be Half-Life 3.
Everyone wants to see that.
Yeah, everyone wants it to be Half-Life 3.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Mike Bithell.
Thank you. Cheers.